Welcome to week 21. Over 2/3 of the training done, and this week has been a bit of an interesting one, mainly due to the heat. We've had a heat wave in France, and as a result of that I had to adapt my training plan. So here's a bit of a summary of how the week went after my UTMB recce weekend. And if you haven't seen that video, it is a long one, but I'll put the link to that up there because it was an absolutely epic 4 days going around Mont Blanc, checking out the course, and yeah, well worth a watch. But after I got back, I had a rest period, I think 5 days completely off from running, and just enjoyed myself. Had some friends staying, so ate too much, drank a little bit too much, and just let the body recover, because even though my legs were feeling fine, I didn't want to rush back into it. And then that was kind of the last week of the sort of build phase, building the strength kind of element, before I move into the specific phase of UTMB training. And this week involved a few runs earlier in the week, because originally I was trying to do a build week this week. However, the heat wave, we got up to about 38 degrees in the shade, just didn't mean that anything high intensity was practical. Tried a few runs, got dehydrated through the night. It's been hard to sleep because it's been so hot, and so just decided to turn this into a kind of prolonged recovery period, which I think's been good, because next week I'm planning to do an even bigger week, and I think my plan going forward will be more one really big week and then an easier week, recovery week. Just clearing spider webs out of the way with my face along this trail, but it's one of my favourite trails in the area. Undulating, a little bit technical in places, great fun. So yeah, today for example, talking about the temperature, got up at 5:30, I'm moving here because of the sun, got up at 5:30, was already in the low 20s in the shade, had a light breakfast, then headed out pretty soon. It's probably now about 7:30 and must be in the mid-20s at least. Wild strawberries, nice bit of fuel for the trail. Yeah, so Monday was a rest day still. That was my final complete day off after the UTMB recce, and was feeling fine. So on the Tuesday, tried an easy run, and I think it was a strength and conditioning session that I did, down to 3 by 5 reps now, so really much working on the strength. Got some switchbacks here, and then Wednesday I did a double run. In the morning it was a steady state run, so that's moving to that new phase, as I mentioned, of the training. So 2 by 20 minutes over about an hour and a half run, and not as intense as the tempo runs. I did a video on tempo runs, there's a link there, but it was you know, getting up into heart rate zone 4, sub-threshold, uncomfortable running. And did that early in the morning again because of the heat. And then that evening I went out and did an aerobic threshold test. After the aerobic threshold test, I was feeling fine. Went to bed, and then the next morning I got up and my heart rate variability was flagging red, suggesting I should have a rest day. My weight was down quite a lot, and the set of scales I've got looks at body fat and hydration, and I was quite dehydrated. And so I changed up the plan from high intensity stuff to a hill climb session, but it was still too much. Really struggled there. Was slower than my time in March. Cramped a bit on the way down. Felt very sorry for myself having to walk back down a hill, and I just spent the rest of the afternoon trying to rehydrate, and then I had the next day off, Friday, completely off as well. Again, my weight was actually even lower on the Friday morning, and so rest day there, heart rate variability again was flagging red. Yesterday, weight was up, heart rate variability was good, also managed to get rehydrated, but still took a very easy day. Weights fest walk early in the morning to avoid the worst of the heat, and then a strength and conditioning session. And then today is just a zone 2 run. Although in these climbs get a little bit close to zone 3, and doing it first thing as well. Doing it locally, lots of options to cut out, back down if I feel bad. But so far, so good. So yeah, it's about adjusting the plan based on a number of different variables, how my body was responding, but also just the heat, because it just increased dramatically from mid-20s, I probably what I've been training to mid to high 30s. And obviously those 2 runs in a single day, and maybe even the day prior to that, a little bit dehydrated, so it all kind of caught up with me. And I shouldn't have even gone out on Thursday. If it'd been an athlete I was coaching, I would have advised a rest day. But what's the old saying? Do as I say, not as I do. So should have known better. So taking the positives from it, a good learning. Tomorrow's going to be an easy day regardless of how this run goes. And then, if all being well still, I'll get back on track. Now I think year to date, I've done something like average weekly distance of about 66 kilometers and 3,300 meters climbing per week. Which is quite good, and I expect that average distance to increase as you get closer to the race, because this week is a recovery week. As you can see on screen now, I've done more distance than that. Climbing a little lower. Again, over the next few build weeks, I expect that number to also increase as I introduce some longer hill climb simulations. Try and get more representative of my long runs as well. And by that I mean picking routes that are a bit more runnable and longer climbs, because the one thing I really noticed about UTMB was how much more runnable the trails were. The ones around here, the one behind me, is probably one of the easiest trails that I train on. So I need to get a little bit more practice of running rather than just power hiking and slow technical descents. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content.